September may mean the end of summer, but it also signals the start of a new season, one that makes many Pennsylvania residents smile.
I like the leaves. I like stepping on crunchy leaves. And I think it's really beautiful when the trees all turn different colors.
I love seeing the trees change on the hills and the ridges slowly. I love the maples and the oaks, and I obviously love the apples and the pumpkins.
The arrival of autumn is prime time for many Pennsylvania farmers.
You know, it's the whole deal. It's the Halloween, you know, the pumpkins, corn stalks, mums, apples, cider. You know, it's definitely the biggest time of year for us.
And lucky for us, Pennsylvania's climate is ripe for some of our favorite fall treats. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, Pennsylvania is fourth in the nation when it comes to apple production, producing 400 to 500 million pounds of apples per year. Many of these are grown in south central Pennsylvania due to the Ridge Valley system, which is prime for apple growing.
Pennsylvania is an excellent place for apples. You know, the winters are cold enough, so you get the good dormancy, good bud set. The weather's not too hot, it's not too dry. You know, a typical Pennsylvania summer is ideal conditions for growing apples around here.
And apples aren't the only fall staple grown in the Keystone State.
Oh, pumpkin farming in Pennsylvania, you know, it's a great area to grow pumpkins. You know, it doesn't get too hot, you know, the season's long enough.
Typically, pumpkin seeds are planted in Pennsylvania in the late spring and early summer.
So we'll generally plant the pumpkins after the risk of the last frost, which is usually, you know, third, fourth week of May. But some of these varieties grow pretty quick, so we'll plant them throughout the month of June up till probably July 4th.
Once the seeds are sown, Mother Nature needs to cooperate.
You want rain all summer. You want the rain to quit around harvest time, then it makes picking a lot easier. You know, the last 3 or 4 years we've had a lot of rain and you get a lot more disease pressure that way. Now this year we didn't have the rain, so we didn't have the diseases, but you know, we're lacking the pumpkins.
According to the Pennsylvania state climatologist, this past April was a relatively wet month across the Commonwealth, but for most, May saw less than average precipitation.
Then once we hit June, July, and August, that's when things really started to dry out across western PA and central PA. But the southern and eastern Pennsylvania was still above normal precipitation for that time. So they escaped a lot of the really dry weather that we saw in western and central PA.
And that dry weather has now become problematic for a large portion of the state.
Because of the dry weather this summer, the Department of Environmental Protection has actually issued drought watches over the summer months for most of central Pennsylvania. And then just recently here in the late summer, early fall period, they've now issued a drought warning for Potter County because it's been so dry, especially in parts of north central Pennsylvania.
For some, those dry conditions have had an impact on this year's pumpkin harvest.
They didn't get nearly as big as they normally do, and the volume's not, you know, what we see on a typical year.
Less volume has a big impact on Pennsylvania's agricultural economy. According to the USDA, Pennsylvania ranks second in the country when it comes to pumpkin production. Between 2016 and 2018, about 98% of Pennsylvania's pumpkins were sold fresh, with about 2% being used in processing, which means that most of the pumpkins sold here are used for decoration and cooking, something many residents enjoy.
We usually just carve them, and then my mom makes like different flavors of pumpkin seeds that are really good.
So the next time you go out to grab your favorite fall treat, remember that the weather played a big role in what's in your hand.
The biggest, most basic thing is weather is the most important thing to our business. You know, from everything, you know, we had a bad frost this spring, you know, wiped out our peach crop. We've had the drought, which really impacted the pumpkin and the corn crop. So throughout the year, you know, from start to finish, even in the middle of the winter, the weather there can impact, you know, have an impact on how the year goes.
Despite the drought, there are still opportunities to get some of this fall's harvest at your favorite farm stand. And what you do with them, well, that's up to you.
I love apples, and I always intend to make pies, but they're just so good to eat for snacks. I like red, crispy ones, but I do love apple pies.
I like baking different things with them, like apple pie and apple pancakes, and I like just eating apples for snacks.
There are so many amazing things about pumpkins, like carving and pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin frappuccino. So many amazing things. So I love pumpkins.
I like pumpkin in anything. I love pumpkin in pasta and in breads and muffins and scones and pie, and it's a beautiful thing.
And despite what the song says, if you can't make it to your local farm stand in the next week, don't worry, they'll see you in October. For Weather World, I'm Marissa Berger.